Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. My name is Molly, and today I'm going to be doing my October wrap up. So this month was such a good reading month. I read 16 books, and we have a new 5 stars, a new series that I'm in love with, and just a bunch of other great books to talk about. So I'm so excited, and so many new arrivals too. This was such a new release month and I loved it and it was so good. So let's get into it. I can't wait to talk about all of these books. So, sorry, I'm like sitting down, I'm wearing jeans and it's hard to breathe. 1 second. Like unbutton, sorry. Okay. So the first book I read this month was Harry Potter and the Chamber of Secrets. I'm just gonna talk about the whole series. So I read just all the books that I have. Yeah, I read the entire Harry Potter series. I only have the first 4 physical, but I read Harry Potter and the Chamber of Secrets, Harry Potter and the Prisoner of Azkaban, Harry Potter and the Goblet of Fire, and then Harry Potter, what's the 5th one? Okay, The Order of the Phoenix, The Half-Blood Prince, and The Deathly Hallows. I read all of those this month. I actually read all of them on my Kindle because the entire Harry Potter series is on Kindle Unlimited. If you want to either reread or for the first time read like me, the Harry Potter series, the entire thing is on Kindle Unlimited. I did not know that. And then I found that out and it was great. I read the entire thing on my Kindle. But the series as a whole, I think I'm going to give it a 4.5. It's not a 5 stars for me just because it is more of a younger book. And I feel like if I read it when I was like younger and then this was like a reread, it would probably be like a 5 stars for me. I did really enjoy the series. Obviously, it's an iconic series, so of course it's going to be good. And yeah, so I guess we should go through my individual ratings of each book. I have my like computer here. So first, The Chamber of Secrets, I gave 3 stars. And then Harry Potter and the Prisoner of Azkaban, I gave 4 stars. Harry Potter and the Goblet of Fire, I gave 3.5 stars. Harry Potter and the Order of the Phoenix, I read on my Kindle, I gave 3 stars. Harry Potter and the Half-Blood Prince, 3 stars. And Harry Potter and the Deathly Hallows, 4.5 stars. So this was a really enjoyable series. I loved reading it this month. It was really fun. And yeah, I really recommend if you haven't read the Harry Potter series, or if you did when you were younger, to like reread now. Especially right now is such a good time to read it because the books obviously like they take place, each book is like a different year of Hogwarts, so they take place throughout like the whole year. But Halloween is always like a very prominent part of all the books. If you know, you know. And so it's just like they're very fall. They take place in Hogwarts. Hogwarts is kind of like dark academia. I was telling one of my friends, Harry Potter is like dark academia, but YA. Like it very has a lot of like dark academia kind of like elements to it. I really enjoyed it. I think I was trying to think which my favorite one was. I really liked the Deathly Hallows. I think that's the one I gave the like highest rating. Yeah, I give the Deathly Hallows the highest rating and give that a 4.5. I really liked that one. The first 2 are very, I would kind of say more like lighthearted, and then you kind of get more into the darker part of the series. The war kind of starts. You start background characters, you get a lot of more information. I really liked this series, and yeah. Okay, so now we're gonna go into the second book I read this month that was not a Harry Potter book, and that is The 7-Year Slip by Ashley Poston. I gave this 5 stars. I loved this book so freaking much. I haven't really seen a lot of people talking about this book, honestly. Like, Destiny Sidwell read it. I know Sarah Caroli read it. I think Rachel just read it. I love this book. I read this at the beginning of the month because all those girlies read it and they really liked it. Oh, and Haley read it too. All gave it really high stars. I think all of them gave it a 5 stars. I gave it 5 stars. I love this book so much. This takes place in New York, and it gives New York in the fall time. Like, it gives the best New York vibes. The best New York vibes. And basically this girl, so her aunt dies. She's really close with her aunt. They go, like, traveling a lot together. Her aunt ends up dying, and she gives her New York apartment. But there's a thing about this apartment. It's magic, and sometimes it'll kind of, like, time travel. And so her aunt experienced that when she was younger, and now Clementine, that's her name, Clementine has gotten the apartment, and she is now experiencing that with the main guy character. I think his name is Ewan. Is that his name? I think it's Ewan. This was such a cute book. I loved the male MC. I loved the female MC. She also works at a publishing company, so you kind of have, like, that literary, like, book lover background. Ewan is a chef. It's so romantic. This is one of the most romantic books I've read in a while. The New York vibes are just fantastic. If you're a New York lover like I am, this book is such a good read. Also, the cover is so freaking cute. Love it. 5 stars. Hands down. Love that book. Okay, next. Can't remember if I read a book on my... Okay, yeah. So, I read a book on my Kindle. Oh, wait. No, I didn't read a book on my Kindle. Where is it? Oh, I never took it. So, I reorganized my bookshelves last night, and I, like, put Wildfire up, and I forgot to put it back. So, the next book I read was Wildfire by Hannah Grace. And this is a new release. This came out October 3rd. I'm pretty sure. Yeah, this came out October 3rd. I read a lot this month, if you can't tell. I think that's all I did this month was read. That's not true. I went to New York. I went to 2 concerts. I went to Arkansas. Like, I had, like, a busy month, but I also spent the entire month reading at the same time. Some reason, I don't know. Had college, went on a bunch of trips, went to concerts, hung out with friends, and still ended up reading 16 books. Make it make sense. I don't know. I really don't know. Like, and then there's months where I'm doing nothing and I'll read like 9 books. And it's like, you have no excuse. Why aren't you reading? Anyways, this is the second book in the Maple Hills? Yeah, Maple Hills, in like the Maple Hills series. Icebreaker is, I have it over here. I reread this in February. This is the first book in the series. I love this book so much. Love, 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 love. And that is a hockey romance. And then this is the second one. So this is like the same people. Well, not the same people. What? Dude, this is a different couple. This is like a interconnected standalone. So this is a different couple, but like same universe. And they are both Maple Hills students. They end up having a one-night stand at a party. And then they're kind of like, they end up going separate ways. They like end up like not really saying bye. And they just like kind of like leave. And then they are both decide to be camp counselors at this summer camp. And they end up being camp counselors at the same summer camp. And they see each other. And it's crazy. And the tension is so great. And I loved both of them. This is Russ and this is Aurora. Russ, dude, quiet boy. He's the quiet, sweet boy. And Aurora, they both have like family issues. So there's a lot of like them getting into that. Hannah Grace is the queen of communication. Like, not miscommunication, communication. Like, she always makes her characters communicate with each other. And this, I just love it. I love it so much. I love that she makes her main characters communicate. Like, there is no, like, getting off on the wrong foot. Like, they will communicate with each other. And I just love it so much. I did give it 4.5 stars because it didn't have that 5-star feeling for me. I know that's annoying, but I love Icebreaker so much. I've reread it. It's still 5 stars for me. And for some reason, I think maybe because it wasn't like during college, it didn't actually have like the college hockey aspect. He was still a hockey player, he's still in college, but it's like summer camp, and I'm not really a huge summer camp romance person. Also, there were just like side characters I didn't really like, and I wanted more of that found family, and there wasn't a lot of found family in this book, so there were definitely things that were missing, but I still really enjoyed it, and the cover is so cute. I love her. I love that book so much. It's so good. Okay, and then next I read The Ex-Hex. Actually, is this the one that I read next, or did I read something on my Kindle? Okay, yeah, I read The Ex-Hex next, and I read this on my Kindle, and then I also read this physical because I got this when I was in New York. This is also the Kiss Curse, so these are like interconnected standalones of each other. This one is about Vivian and Reese or whatever. Basically, so this takes place in, what's the town? Graves Glen, Georgia. And it is basically Halloween Town. Like Halloween Town, Gilmore Girls, Stars Hollow kind of vibes. And Vivian, her mom, is like not, she didn't like magic. Vivian is a witch. And her mom kind of like excommunicated from magic. Is like, I don't want to do that. So Vivian finds out she's a witch and she moves to Graves Glen. And she goes to college in Graves Glen with her cousin and then her aunt. She lives with her cousin and her aunt. And she ends up meeting Reese, who is like a descendant of the witches who like founded Graves Glen. And they end up having a falling out. And Vivian casts a hex on him. Like a hex. A magic hex. And then 10 years go by. She kind of just like forgets about it. And Reese comes back because they have to like, the founders have to come back and like replenish the magic. And well, the ex comes back to bite them all in the butt. And it's really good. It was so like Halloween-y, fall vibes. I loved it. It was so good. I think I gave it 3.5 stars. And then I read The Kiss Curse next. Oh wait, sorry. I read Hopeless next. So Hopeless came out on the 13th. And I read that on my Kindle. This was really disappointing to me. Like, extremely disappointing. I did a Goodreads review, which I'm on Goodreads, by the way, if you don't know. I don't know what my Goodreads name is. I'll like put it on the screen or whatever. I think it's just like Molly Gordon or something, or Molly Grace, something like that. But I did a Goodreads review on this, and I did not like this book that much. There's a bunch of different reasons. I want to pull up my Goodreads review, actually. This might piss some people off. There's some spoilers in it, so I might not be able to say the whole thing, but it's like down here. Okay, here we go. Okay, I want to see here's my review. Wait, what? Oh, more. There we go. Okay, this was my review. I gave it 2 stars on Goodreads, but I think I gave it more like a 2.5 stars. Did I do 2 stars or 2.5 stars? Okay, yeah, I really did give it 2 stars. Oh, so I loved this whole series. This is the Chestnut Spring series, for those who do not know, by Elsie Silver. I loved this series. Like, this is one of my favorite romance series of all time. I love it so much. It's probably a 5 stars the whole series. But this book disappointed me so much. first off, the age gap. There is a age gap in this romance, and I'm very much iffy on age gaps. I don't hate them, but I also don't love them, and I will never seek them out. If there's a book with an age gap, that won't turn me away from the book, but I won't be like, oh, I want a book with an age gap. Like, I'm not the person who looks for like recommendations for an age gap. Not that there's anything wrong with wanting an age gap. I feel like sometimes they are kind of like, I like them, but I'm not like, I don't have any definite opinion on age gaps. This one though was creepy, and I'm gonna tell you why. So he just kept bringing up how much older than her he was. Like, he kept saying how innocent she was, and oh, I'm just an old creep. Like, he kept saying all these things, and it just made me so uncomfortable. And the age gap is like, okay, the age gap is kind of a lot. She's 22 and he's 35, so that's like 13 years. So it's kind of like, I mean, I guess that's a pretty big age gap. But at the same time, like, I've read books with that much of an age gap, and it really isn't that big of a deal. Like, it just kind of is kind of like whatever. But he made it such a big deal. The virgin / innocent trope. I'm sorry, I hate that. That's my least favorite trope. I said yuck. Yuck. I'm sorry, no, can't do it. Beau is a retired like army vet, but it's based in Canada. So I don't really know anything about the Canadian Army. Sorry, I'm from the US. I don't even know anything about the US Army, so like don't ask me. But he was extremely anti-therapy, like extremely anti-therapy, to the point that it was like, why do we keep bringing this up? No one else is bringing it up. And he needed therapy. Like, he needed it. He had extreme PTSD. He had nightmares. He, like, you could tell that there were things wrong with him, but he would not go to therapy. And he kept, like, berating it. He had a huge savior complex. He just wanted to save her the entire time. Like, that was, like, the whole basis of their relationship, was wanting to save her. Also, I said subtle foot kink. Not gonna explain that one. Yeah, this just did not need to be that long. It was a 400-page book, and it just didn't feel like there was anything like going on. Honestly, like, there was like no plot to this book. It's like fake marriage, I think, or like fake engagement or something, which is cool, but that was like very like background. Everything else was just, I mean, I liked it if it was like the other characters were in it more and it was like, oh, us just living in Chestnut Springs, I would be fine with that. But it was like just focused on them, and I just did not like it. I didn't like either of them. I hated Beau. Like, I hated Beau. I liked Bailey kind of, but I hated him. He's my least favorite brother. Yeah, and then I just said this book had a lot of potential, but ended up being the worst book of the series. So, as you can tell, I just hated this book. I did not like it. I think the only reason I didn't DNF it is because I read the entire series, and I really liked the entire series, and I didn't want to like give up on this series. I wanted to finish it. I wanted to finish the series. I wanted to finish the book. But I just didn't like it. And honestly, a lot of people were very excited for this book, because like from the very beginning they were like, oh, I want the Beau book, I want the Beau book, I want the Beau book. And he changed a lot throughout the whole series, because a lot of things happen with him throughout the entire series. So he changes a lot, and he's not the same person that he was from the first series, from the first book. And honestly, like, it just wasn't good. It was not good. I'm sorry. I just didn't like it. Next, we are going to be talking about The Kiss Curse. So, this is the second book to, like, the Ex-Hex. And this is about the cousin, Gwyn, and then Rice's brother, Wyn. Is that his name? Wyn? Wells. Gwyn and Wells. And this was just so funny. Gwyn is so funny. Wells is so funny. Wells basically comes to Gravesglen to kind of like open a store, and they end up being enemies, like enemy business partners. And then there's like evil witches come to town, and there's just like a lot of like stuff going on. It was just really fun and it was funny and I really enjoyed it. I think I gave this, okay, I gave this 4 stars. Next we have Payback's a Witch. I don't know how I felt about this book. I like stopped in the middle of it and then I ended up finishing it. I kind of liked it. I don't know. It wasn't what I expected, but I still really liked it. This girl, Emmy, she's a witch, and she ends up dating this guy in high school. He breaks her heart. She ends up leaving, going to college, and then she comes back because they kind of have like this witch event in their town that like helps kind of like renew the magic. And she and like a couple of other of the founding families of this town, they decide to kind of like, because it's like a competition between basically the descendants of the founding families, and each witch from a founding family like competes. And so her and 2 of the witches of the other founding families, not the one that broke her heart, they decide to kind of like work together to try and push that family out, because they've been kind of like taken over the town, taken over the magic. And Emmy, and then what's her name, Talia, she's one of the other witches of the other like founding family, and they end up having a little romance, and it's really cute and witchy and fun, and it's a good like Halloween read, like just reading during like October to kind of get like those Halloween witchy vibes. I gave that 1.5 stars. That's kind of harsh. I think I'd say 2 stars. It's just because I kept stopping and starting. Wasn't my favorite, and I wasn't a huge fan of a lot of the writing style. So, yeah, I don't know. I just wasn't a huge fan of that book. Okay, next, I'm just gonna talk about these together because they're in a series, so I can't really talk about them separately. So we have the last 2 books in the Once Upon a Broken Heart series. So I read Once Upon a Broken Heart in I think August or June. I looked at this like a couple days ago when I read it, and I think it was June. I think it was June. And so finally I read the last 2 in this little like trilogy. So I read The Ballad of Never After, and then this came this month, and this was A Curse for True Love, and these were so good. I don't remember what I said about Once Upon a Broken Heart. Obviously that was like months and months ago, but I was not a huge fan of the books when I first read Once Upon a Broken Heart, but I got back into this series and I really liked it. I gave both of these 4 stars and I really liked them. And they're just, this whole series is very like magical, fairy tale-esque. And I love it so much, and I love Jax. That's all I'm gonna say. Jax and Evangeline for life. This was the last physical book I read this month. So I read Before We Were Strangers, and this is a second chance kind of like misconnection. So these 2 people, they their names are Grace. What's the guy's name? I want to say it's Sam. Matt. Grace and Matt, they went to NYU together in the 90s, and they end up kind of like, they hooked up. They were kind of in a relationship, but like not really. Their senior year, and then they end up going like their separate ways and kind of like misconnecting. And then I think 10 years later, they end up seeing each other again on a subway stop. And so they kind of end up getting back together. And you get like their whole, so it like at the beginning, it shows like the now, and then it goes back 10 years, and you get like their whole relationship. And I really liked this. There were parts I didn't like. I just thought the reason that they misconnected was kind of stupid, not gonna lie. If you know, you know. There was also a random trope thrown in at the end. 2 random tropes thrown in at the end that just kind of, I was like, this isn't necessary. I didn't like that. But I loved this whole vibe, and I read this past weekend when 1989 Taylor's version came out, and this has the best 1989 Taylor's version. It's New York in the 90s. They're both artists. Them seniors in college, 90s in New York, and it's just the best vibes, and I loved it. I gave it 3.5 stars. Okay, and then last, this is a book I read on my Kindle. This was The Graham Effect. So, Off Campus Briar U series by Elle Kennedy. She decided to write kind of like a second generation. So this is about Gigi Graham, who is Garrett Graham and Hannah Wells' daughter, and then Luke Ryder, who's like a hockey player, is not affiliated, but it's at Briar U, and Gigi is a hockey player, she's a female hockey player, and then Ryder is a hockey player. So Eastwood and Briar, Eastwood, the college like went out of business or got shut down or whatever, went out of business, shut down, and so the Eastwood hockey team and the Briar hockey team have to kind of like merge together. And Ryder went to Eastwood, so now he goes to Briar, and it's kind of like a lot of animosity between them, and then there's a lot of like issues with the team because they were like rivals before, and a lot of them like knew each other because they played like all-star hockey together or something. And then Gigi wants to be on the world's team, like for the Olympics, and so she ends up getting Ryder to help her with like kind of like help coach her. And so they like start coaching lessons, and then they kind of end up getting closer, and it was good. There was a trope at the end that ruins the entire book for me. I'm not going to explain what it is, but when you read it, you will know, and it will ruin the entire book for you. I also realized how much I hate Elle Kennedy's writing. It's so cliche. Half the things that she says in it, no one would fucking say in their entire life. I'm sorry. As a college student, as a real life college student, half of that shit she says, I'm like, I would never say. Never. But I do, it's just fun. Like it was just fun. Hockey romances are fun. Like there's no like seriousness about it. Like, yes, there's misogynistic undertones with the guys. It's not female empowering. Like, it's not gonna be like the New York Times best-selling, like #1. Actually, it probably is, because everything is #1 New York Times best-selling these days, but it's not gonna be like the best book of the year. But it was fun, and it was enjoyable, and I love Garrett Graham, and you get like little bits and pieces of the other guys. You don't really get any of the other girls. You get Hannah, you get Garrett, John Logan, Dean, and they talk about like the other people a lot, and you don't get Tucker and Sabrina, but you get their daughter, and they kind of like talk about like the other people, but not everyone is mentioned. But it's just fun, and if you read the Off Campus Briar U series, it's fun to kind of like go back and see like your favorite characters as like adults and like parents now. So I liked it. It wasn't the best book ever. I gave it 2.5 stars, but yeah. Okay, well that's it for today. I hope you guys enjoyed. I love you, and I will see you guys next time. Bye.